Hello, guys. All right, let's talk about um, what are we going to talk about today? Equality and comparison operator. Good topic. I myself um, refresh myself on this, so let's just go ahead and click on new file again. Let's talk about relational and equality operators. .js. Okay, and let's just make sure I can get into that one first. So I'm not going to write anything yet, but I just want to have it available so when I click on it. So this is relational. Yeah. And let me just move over. All right. So nothing is there yet for us to do that. So let's talk about relational and operators in JavaScript, right? So let's do this. Relational operator in JavaScript, right? So relational operator in JavaScript are used to compare two values, right? Determining relative orders of the values, example, whether one value is greater than the other or less than the other, etc. These operator returns a Boolean value, which is true or false, right? So let's write that definition out so that we can actually put that in there. I have notes for this, so I can actually give you those. What I just wrote, so let me think about this. Let me write it out. So relational. Actually, let me pause the video and I'm gonna write it out. All right, back. I just copied what I had in there. So relational operators, JavaScripts are used to compare two values, right? Determining the relative order of the value, right? So let's just put this in here. So there is a greater than operator. Let me put it back right in here. Greater than operator. So it goes like this. Um, so that's the greater than, right? And it checks if the value of the left is greater than the value on the right. So for example, we can put this example in there, right? So 10 is greater than 5 returns true, right? Because it is true. So let's just do that. So let's do console.log and let's do um, 10. It's greater than 5, which it is, right? So let's just see what it prints out. We're expecting the output to be true, right? Expectation is true. Because isn't 10 greater than 5? It is, right? So let's save this and let's just basically run this again, okay? And you're expecting it true, right? And then you have the other one, it's greater than or equal to, right? So for example, if we have 10 equal 10, it's going to be greater than or equal to. So like 10, oh, sorry, console.log. We already have this. I'm so sorry. Let me just. Um, so this one is console.log. What am I doing? I'm just trying to copy this. Something happened there. All right, so is 10 greater than or equal to 10? Let's just do that, right? It should return true. It's not greater than, but it's equal to, right? So if we do this and we run this, it should be true, right? So now we have a less than operator as well, right? So it checks if the value on the left is less than the value on the right, right? So let's do this. Let's come in here. Let's put this. So the less than operator. So the less than operator. So this is less than. Right, and what does it do? It checks to see if the value on the left is greater than the value of the right. The value on the left is less than the value on the right. Sorry. So let's do something like this. So we can actually do the same thing that we did on top, right? and then say, is 5 less than 10? It should be true, right? 5 is less than 10. So if we do this, I know these are simple example, but it's just to explain the difference in here. So let's do, and we can also do a less than and equal to operator, right? So there is the other less than and equal to as well. So less than and equal to operator, right? So less than equal to checks if the value on the left is less than the, or equal to the value on the right, right? So that's basically what that does, right? And now we have, say, console.log less than and equal to, right? 5 is less than or equal to 10. It is true, it's less than, right? So the or operator, I mean, it's doing that, so good. So the next thing is, let's talk about some things that will confuse you a little bit if there's a strict equality and a loose equality, and that's what we're going to talk about now, right? So let's talk about the equality operator, right? So equality operator is basically so equality operators in JavaScript are used to compare two values for their equality or inequality. So there are two types of equality operators. There's a strict and there is a loose operator, right? So let's talk about the loose operator. And that's basically, the loose one is the equals, right? So let's just put this in parentheses here. Let's just do this. Back tilt. I'm trying to. Not my back tilt. All right. So yeah. So let's just put this in this. We're gonna put it's the equal one so that you can understand. Right. So the other one that we're gonna talk about after, I'll just put two spaces here. It's gonna be three equals here. We'll talk about this in a minute. So the equality operator, as I said, in JavaScript are used to compare two values for the equality or inequality. So, example, let's do what we did before, right? So we're gonna do this. We're gonna do console.log is 5 equals to 5, right? And there's a reason for this. If you look at this, there's a this is considered a string, and this is the number 5, right? So if we run this, what do you expect to see, right? So let's just run this, and our expectation initially was is basically is true, right? And that's why it's called loose operator. So it compares two value for equality after converting both values to a common type, right? I think it's type coercion. It's called. I don't remember, but something like that. Type coercion. We can look it up. But let me put this here. So what it does? What is the reason for this? Right. So 5. It has 5 here, and it has 5 here. It doesn't really. It just what it does. It just loosely evaluate if two values for equality after converting both to a common type. So it can convert this by itself to a integer, and it can say yes, it's equal. So let me show you. So in this case, let's take this right now. It says true here because it's the equal sign is this. Now let's take this and put this as 6. This should be false, right? Because when it converts this and try to evaluate it, it's not going to be true, and it should be false. Now it could do a 5 again, and on this side could be 6. It's going to evaluate both, convert them into its own for its own type, and it's going to be false. So, but the idea is that this equality here is just it's just going to look at both, and it's a loose. It's what's considered a loose equality, right? Now let me show you a strict equality, and that's where this comes in, right? But Um, let's see here. Okay, yes. So a strict equality, let's talk about that. It compares two values for equality without converting them. So this is strict. So if we put this in here, I'm expecting this to be false because it's not going to convert it into its type. It's just going to compare them and say, hey, one is a string and one is not a string, right? So best practice is generally recommended to use strict equality to avoid issues related to like type coercion, uh, coercion. We can Google that. I remember the name, but I remember coercion, but um, we can Google it in a minute. But let's see. Yeah. So the best practice is related to type. Now there's a loose. Okay, so if we just print this out right a second, this should be false, not true. Right? So let's save this and run this real quick, guys. And you can see we need to put this now. Save it and now run it. You'll see it says false because it's false. It's not equal. Um, it's not loosely validating it anymore. Now there's others, right? There is the loose equality for not equals, right? So the not equals, and this is how it looks, not equals, right? And that not equal compares two values for inequality after converting both types to common type, right? So here's the case. So if we got this right now, and this is basically called loose equality, loose inequality. All right, so 5 is not equal to 5. Output is false because, again, it's converting it into its own type and validating it there. If we do this with the strict inequality, right, we could do something like console.log, and we can do 5 is not equal to equal 5, right? And this should be true because we know that that's not going to convert anything. Let me grab some water, guys. Okay, let's save this. Let's execute this. And you can see it's not equal and it comes back as true, which is true there. Okay. So that's basically, how we can do a strict versus a non-strict inequality example there. Right. So in summary, let's just go ahead and give a summary of this. Let me pull up back my notepad and let's talk about this, right? So let me go here. So let me pull this up. So in summary, relational operators like greater than equal to, less than equal to, used to compare relative order of two values. The equality operator, loose equality, like for example equals, it basically compares the value after type coercion, after it actually change this value. So let's just look at the Google real quick, and let's do this real quick. What is right? You can Google it just so you bring it up. So, is the process of automatically changing the value types, usually when performing operation or comparison between the data. Yeah, so it's just changing the value types, as we said. So there's a strict and loose equality. The three equals is the strict equality, where it actually doesn't convert to any type. It just compare it, and if it's equal, then it's equal. If it's not equal, it's not going to be equal. And it's going to send you back the information. All right, I think that's it for this session, guys. That we talked about basically the relational operator, equality, the loose equality, and the strict equality. All right, we're getting somewhere with these JavaScript. So I hope you understand so far, and thank you for joining me on this journey.